Her name was Elara Quinn. No children, no husband, no siblings, no strings. She was the woman the world didn't see, but whose code kept nations from falling. The founding mind behind Sable Intelligence, a tech firm so deeply embedded in AI infrastructure that its systems ran banks, encrypted military lines, and predicted stock collapses. But Elara didn't live like a billionaire. She didn't trust people. She trusted systems. Everything in her world was encrypted, even her own emotional responses. Her relatives called her cold, but they wanted her warmth, in the form of her $3.1 billion empire. They made her disappear. It started with tea. She had invited 3 of them, a cousin, an aunt, and her late father's godson, to her winter lodge. She thought it was just courtesy. They smiled, listened, complimented her silence. That night, her body went numb mid-sentence. When she woke, she was strapped to a gurney in a room with no windows. A woman in scrubs spoke softly. "Miss Quinn, you've suffered a dissociative psychotic break. You are not safe, but you're in a protected space now." The papers were signed. The evaluation was completed by a doctor she'd never met. They cited paranoia, emotional detachment, history of declining mental hygiene. Within days, her assets were transferred under temporary guardianship to her next of kin. Sable Intelligence was quietly put into emergency administrative transition. Her email access revoked, all AI projects halted. Her name was legally flagged as mentally unfit for corporate decision-making. Elara Quinn, one of the most brilliant minds of her generation, had been deleted by paper. Inside the facility. The Alpine Psychiatric Facility wasn't a prison, it was worse. Clean, white, silent. Every person smiled just a little too long. Elara was always either sedated, questioned, or watched. She never saw the sky. They played Mozart over hidden speakers at 3 a.m. Her cousin, Lionel, visited once a month to ensure she was stable. He always wore gloves, always left early. Each visit felt like a eulogy delivered to a living grave. But Elara didn't break. She listened. She mapped the halls in her head. She began blinking in Morse code in front of mirrors, not to send messages, but to keep her brain sharp. And she studied the only thing she still had, the patterns of behavior around her. One nurse always logged off the system early on Wednesdays. One hallway's backup generator shorted every few weeks, always unreported. And in the West Wing, she discovered an unused patient exit that wasn't connected to the main alarm system. For 2 years, she collected those cracks. Then she slipped through one. She didn't run. She walked out during a blackout, wearing a stolen ID badge and coat. She disappeared into the snow. For 3 months, Elara went underground, literally. In an abandoned communications tunnel in Berlin, she accessed a secret air-gap drive, a physical device hidden inside an old radio transmitter. Inside it was everything: passcodes to shell companies, a digital ledger of Sable's entire infrastructure, a new identity: Alexine Marot, born in Marseille, citizen of nowhere, invisible to all surveillance. From that tunnel, Elara resurrected herself. Her enemies had grown careless, honestly, just drunk on inherited power they didn't even understand. Elara watched them parade Sable into public attention, like they thought they'd already won. They sold access to defense codes, stock market prediction software, energy disruption models, completely oblivious to the fact they were leaking blood into the water. Elara activated a sequence she had built 5 years earlier, meant to be used only in case of a hostile takeover, Quinlock. It was, well, elegant chaos. All AI systems reverted to self-contained logic. Executable files turned into encrypted ghost codes. Buyer companies were blacklisted and locked in endless verification loops. And most beautifully, every smart device associated with her enemies began glitching, just one screen flicker at a time. The revenge wasn't loud. Elara didn't need to send death threats. She sent something worse: doubt. The legal firm handling her estate received an anonymous audit query that exposed falsified documents, An unnamed source leaked video footage of her being drugged at her own dinner table, footage never meant to exist. The psychiatric doctor who signed her diagnosis got arrested for malpractice in a completely separate scandal, which Elara triggered using AI-generated evidence that, honestly, felt too real to question. Her cousin Lionel? He found himself arrested for identity fraud when a system suddenly recognized his signature on 17 forged documents across 5 countries. But Elara was never seen. The regain came in triple fold. Sable Intelligence collapsed, publicly. But quietly, 3 new tech giants rose from its ashes. Veilnode, an untraceable AI encryption firm partnered with 5 governments. LynxCore, a decentralized data fortress used by billionaires and Black Ops teams. Eidolon Systems, a company that claimed to only exist in the blockchain, but somehow earned $1.2 billion in its first year. All 3 were run by people who didn't exist. All 3 were connected to a 4th identity, EQ/0x531-MR. Elara Quinn had not only taken back her empire, she tripled it, with none of it in her name. She no longer existed to the system. The ending no one heard coming. In an underground room lit by soft blue LEDs, a woman sits with a cup of tea. She never leaves. She never logs in. She just watches. She doesn't want fame. She doesn't want justice. She just wants them to know they failed. That silencing her didn't end her. It weaponized her. On her wall, one painting hangs, a framed printout of her psychiatric file, burned at the edges, red inked at the top. Crazy is what you call a genius before you realize they weren't joking.